On today's show, we're going to talk a lot about red light therapy, some of the practices that I use with red light therapy, and we're going to talk about the vision of a company that I have a lot of experience with. In fact, this is the reason why I have this thing around my neck. On today's show, we have Tom Sanderson. Tom is the COO and co-founder of Kineon, an entrepreneur at heart, driven by a passion for human health and well-being. Tom has worked in local and international startups since 2005, including 10 plus years co-founding and running a world-class film production studio out of South China. Born in Bahrain and raised in the north of England, Tom attended Sedbergh School and has a BA with honors from Oxford Brookes University in European Business, French. He firmly believes that incorporating mindfulness, health, and well-being into your professional and personal life is the key to success. Tom loves spending time with his family and pursuing his passions for yoga, meditation, plant-based diet, and animal welfare. Tom, welcome to the show.
Welcome to Simply Walk the Talk. Our bodies and minds adapt to what we do most of the time. If you want to change your body and mind, you must change what it is you do most of the time. This podcast explores all things health, wellness, fitness, lifestyle, and biohacking. Stay tuned as we explore various thoughts, methods, and experiences from a multitude of conversations between our interesting guests and experts through many fields of work. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Simply walk the talk. Simply walk the talk.
Thanks, Josh. Awesome to be here. And thank you for your team as well, working magic behind the scenes and what they're doing in this preparation. I love watching your program. I love following you on Instagram, and it's an absolute pleasure to once again have Kineon back on the program. But also having met you a couple of times down in London doing the amazing stuff you do, it's such an honor to be back here and able to have a good chat with you about what we're doing, and then unpeel the scenes and get to know you a bit more as well as our relationship unfolds.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for that subtle reminder of the fact that, like, if you're watching the show and expecting or anticipating a deep dive into the inner workings or mechanics of this device, we actually had a show previously in which the other co-founder, Forrest Smith, was on the show, and we talked a lot about what Kineon is, the Move Plus, and sort of how it works and some of the science behind it. It was a really fascinating episode, and it was actually when I had just first started using the product. And since then, we've gone through a couple of different iterations. I got a chance to see you in person. You got a chance to show me some of the new updates. So obviously, I think we'll talk a little bit about where the company started and kind of how it got to where it is now and the future vision. And I think, if nothing else, go back and listen to that episode and then continue listening to this one, because this will be fun as well.
Yeah.
So I do
Absolutely.
recall getting a chance to like meet you in person in London, and that was fun because I took you through some of my protocols, some of the things I do, some of the reasons why I have a blue mouth, right? And how I use that with the light therapy, because they are synergistic and very complementary. But let's kind of start with, because I didn't even realize until I read the intro that you were born in Bahrain. And so it's just kind of, let's talk about your background and what caused you or allowed you to become an entrepreneur that you are today.
I mean, this is a great starting point. You're going back quite a few decades now, if we're going back to being born in Bahrain. But yeah, I mean, my life has been slightly more unusual, having been born abroad and then spending time back in England and away at school and things like this. So it's not been without its challenges. And I think that the adversity of life, in wherever the background is, wherever you're from, is hopefully what allows us to become stronger, or at least allows us to see the world from different angles so we can appreciate different situations. And I think when you mentioned about us meeting in London, that was absolute pleasure. We've met a couple of times down in London now, but especially that first time, I was really excited about coming down and seeing you. Not only were we bringing some upgrades, and you'd mentioned that actually you were one of the first people to take our device that first came to the market. So when we came down to London, we were bringing some upgrades, and already we've got more upgrades that we're going to share with you. So that's going to be really cool. Yes, absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit later about the new products, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, we'll save that for the time being. But going back to my background, so yeah, I mean, I spent quite a lot of time abroad. You know, you mentioned being away at university. I studied French and business French, and spent a lot of time in the Middle East, in Bahrain and in Saudi Arabia and things like this. And I think that for me personally gave me a love for exploration and traveling and appreciation of different backgrounds and different cultures. And I think that's one of the things for human nature is, I remember Tony Robbins talking about this. If you ask people what they would do with if they won the lottery, a lot of them would say they would travel, and that's that excitement in the human nature of exploration. And I think that's in a way what drives us as entrepreneurs. That thirst for what happens if we do this, and I guess from a biohacking and a health optimization point of view, what happens if we do this and sustain that, and how can we make it so that experience is a better experience? So that's a really interesting topic and direction. But also with this comes, like we talked about this in London, from a spiritual point of view, comes about this taking some stillness in who we are and where we're at, and accepting the situation of what is present with us, and not this constantly craving for something, desiring externally, or the rejection of something that is either painful or uncomfortable. It's more the acceptance of both of those, let's say, extremes or externalities, accepting as they are, and that reduces essentially the human suffering point of view. But yeah, so a few rabbit holes that we could end up going down there. But essentially, for me personally, the journey of Kineon comes about wanting to explore how do we help people reduce pain, physical pain at this stage, and have a better quality of life. And I think that's that's where we're at.
Which is beautiful, and you actually, just hearing you speak now reminds me of the amount of time, because not only did we meet once, we met a couple times in London, but I distinctly remember wanting to just sit and talk with you for hours because of your outlook, the way you think about things, the way that you have this innate curiosity like I do, and you also are very open-minded with a lot of things, and I found that to be very beautiful. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, I want to continue connecting with this guy. And obviously you have a great product. I mean, this, like, there's not many products that I have on me constantly, I have with me constantly, because it's really cool. In fact, the other day I was at a meeting with the founders of Vivo Barefoot. They happen to be in New York City, and you never know who you're going to run into. You never know when someone's going to be in pain, because let's face it, a lot of us are in pain, and sometimes you may not be willing to mention that level of pain that you're in. But when you're around me, I'm the person everybody's kind of like, hey, I got something wrong with my shoulder or my neck or my back or whatever. And so I pop out this little device, and it becomes, well, this device, right? And it becomes a nice conversation tool, because it's like, well, what is it, right? And so what I like to do sometimes, I ended up having to put this on one of the wives of the founder. I put the device on her knee because she had done something to her knee. She didn't know quite what she did. Put this on there, followed up with some of the cream that I had in my bag as well. And everybody starts calling me healer, or they start calling me doctor. And it's like, well, I'm just prepared at all times for someone to be in pain, or for myself to be in pain. And if you have the tools and you have something like this that works quite effectively, then I think we would all serve ourselves better to kind of be prepared to have this like in your first aid kit, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
And
that's it. Absolutely.
that's a long-winded story into the fact that, like, you know, we'll talk a little bit about like why this works and what it does and all that kind of stuff. But I am curious how you got from your background and everything you just explained to then meeting Forrest and starting Kineon. Like, how did that start?
Yeah, no, great question, and we'll come back onto it. But obviously, the transportability of this, the portability of this device, is what so many. Yeah, that's it. Is what people love about it, and we'll come on to light therapy and what it does, and why we've chosen this design and size and style. But I think that's a great starting point. Is myself and Forrest, essentially, we met at a similar point. We're similar age. In fact, my birthday last weekend, so I'm now 43. Forrest is 43, but he is a year older than me, so he'll always be the older guy, Forrest. But we met a few years ago. Actually, it's a great story. With the all we've done with the company, you know, we've sold 10,000, we've shipped 10,000 units in the last 12 months, over $4 million of revenue. We're raising now, selling 15% of the company. Some really exciting things. Myself and Forrest have never met in person. We are a true COVID story. We're a true COVID baby company story. And that's really exciting. And I think that's a testament to modern technology, the flexibility of our lives that we have, the opportunity. Now is a great time to be setting up businesses, to be connecting with people. And I mean, I've met you more times than Forrest is amazing, right?
Yeah. It's wild.
So let's wind back a little bit. How did we meet? So essentially, I lived and worked in Guangzhou in Southeast China for 10 years. Myself and one of my brothers, we set up a film production company over there, which was amazing. What a life experience that was. And we ended up doing productions for some biggest bands in the world, Emirates, Sennheiser, HSBC, Audi, huge brands, Huawei, and flew all around the world with that. And that included filming one of China's biggest rock stars who's married to one of China's biggest female actresses. And we followed him for 3 years and made a beautiful documentary about his life, which is inspiring. And actually, he was inspired by Pink Floyd, and that's what changed his whole world on it. But that's another direction. So Forrest lived in China, and he was there for 15 to 18 years. He speaks, reads, and writes fluent Chinese, which is quite an amazing process to go through. And he set up and built many factories and supply chain companies, and ended up selling one of those companies to a big US lighting company. And Forrest and my brother were actually playing rugby together in Guangzhou for the Guangzhou Rams. And Max and him were chatting. They set up some business opportunities and discussions, and COVID hit. Forrest relocated back to the US, and myself and Forrest got chatting through my brother Max. And both of us were at a point where we wanted to set up a company that was mission-based. And this was the key thing. Before it was all about how do we make money, what do we do, how do we leverage our position in life and the opportunity we're in, but actually starting from zero again with a bit more sort of, I guess, maturity and approach to life, which is the money is a byproduct of your success and happiness. And we wanted to make something that really had a positive impact on the world. So our mission, our vision, if you like, is to positively impact the largest number of people in the most meaningful and substantial way we can. And our product roadmap will allow us to do that first initially through joint health, then moving on to gut health, which is anything to do with IBS and things like this, and the vagal nerve. And then the third product range will be brain health, so dementia, PTSD, depression, anxiety. It's a huge range of things. And so that's how we will have and realize our vision. So me and Forrest got chatting, and he'd worked quite a bit in light therapy and in light LED lighting, and had done some research on this. And we've got over 6,000 papers on it. We've done the research. We put in the thousands of hours, and the product works. So yeah, when we first started talking, obviously we didn't know what we didn't know. But through that hustle, through that hard work, through that commitment, and really that vision helped align us during the hard times of when we thought, well, we didn't, it was the whole company's bootstrapped from the start. And so in order to work through the harder times, for the first 18 months, I had 3 jobs. I had a 6-month-old baby at the time, obviously getting older throughout that time. And around 18 months ago, I had a second baby. So really, there's been a lot of commitments gone into this, a lot of love, a lot of desire. But I think to go and get back to that really strong vision, which started prior to having a company, which was a byproduct of that 10 years of hard work in China, in film production, in learning about humans, I think is one of the most beautiful things. And my brother Max is one of the most creative people I've met. He's an absolute inspiration to me and still is today. But that allowed us to have an understanding of what do we really want in life. And I think that to positively impact people's life, like you do on this show, Josh, is amazing. And that doesn't mean that everything you do, everyone is going to take everything and use it. They're just going to be constantly, oh, Josh did that and Josh did this, and how do I build that into my life a little bit more and a little bit more?
Mm-hmm.
And it's those marginal gains for creating that, that joy and that happiness.
And I think that's beautiful how you laid that out, because I know that was one of the things that I recall when I spoke to Forrest on the show. He, at the end of the show, he was talking about some of the things that's happening in the future. And I forget how long ago that show was, but here we are now. It's already starting to happen. And I love having those snapshots in history. So like, from the past, in which we set a goal, and then we achieve said goal, and then we move on and we keep setting goals. And I think that's what you guys are doing. And I love that, because that's what allows me to want to align myself with a company like Kineon, is because I see the vision and I'm very aligned with that vision, and it's all about helping people, because at the end of the day, it takes a village, right? This is the reason why I love having Gordon help me with this podcast. And it's by no mistake that we're doing a lot better with this show, simply because I have some help and people who are also very invested. I mean, he's just as involved. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we send voice notes back and forth to each other and text messages about random topics that end up eventually being a part of the show, right? So it takes a village, and I love the support, and I'm here to support you guys. And that's also one of the reasons why I brought you onto the show today. So if you are listening or watching, I do want you to understand that at some point towards the end of the show, we're going to talk about some very important investment opportunities. If you also feel aligned with the company, I think this will be a good opportunity for you to continue listening and see how you might also help, and maybe get yourself one of these nifty red light devices too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Josh, I wanted to ask you a question about that. Is so you have a lot of things in your life that are going on. You are creating yourself, and you do an amazing job of it, and you're inspiring so many people. So how do you, any tips on sort of juggling the mindset of a lot of that? Because I'm sure, people look at you, you're a very handsome guy, you're a strong guy, you look really healthy, and to meet you face to face, you just such a ball of energy and love, and it's really awesome, and that comes through on the screen as well. But we all have up days and down days. Any sort of tips or ideas on getting through those moments in life when you're building something so big and so colossal? Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you. I think it's important to acknowledge compliments, so thank you for that. And I must first start off by saying that it's with having a nice support structure. I actually put a post in my Instagram stories. I don't even know if it's still available. Let me see, because I would love to read this, because I do think this is part of my process, if you will, and it involves having people around you. So this post here says, your nervous system will naturally feel calm around people with pure intentions and authentic energy. Trust it. Right. And that resonated with me so much that I think like that's the key. I think if you have a vision and you have goals, and then you are in the right environment, just like I would say, like if you're doing a psychedelic journey or something like that, like if you're in the right set and setting, you can build your right set and setting. And that sometimes means getting rid of the negative energy, getting rid of the things that don't serve you. And I wake up each day knowing that I have a mission, and then that I have so much more to live for than just my own life. And mainly that's my two beautiful kids, my entire family. But like, I want to leave a legacy for my kids that is way beyond anything that they could even imagine. And I do feel like that I've benefited greatly from having a lot of misfortune or bad times in my life, but I want to try to do as much as I can to allow my kids not to have to go through those same things. But when and if they do, they're going to be prepared. And so some of the strategies I have is I do use plant medicine. I do meditate. I do breath work. I exercise for my mental health. I exercise for my physical health. I mean, I'm able to have confidence in my day, knowing that I'm doing all the things that I could be doing and should be doing to elicit the byproduct. The byproduct is what you see, is what you see, right? It's what the audience sees, is what my friends see. And if I was living a lie, I think that would be evident. I think that would come out.
Mm,
So
mm.
I don't know if that
Yeah.
answers the question, but
Yeah, I think it does answer the question, and it's what you do in the dark times, or the quiet times when people aren't watching, which
yeah,
allows you to perform when people are watching, isn't it? That kind of
yeah,
sentiment. So doing those the plant medicine journeys where no one else is there, it's just Josh and his thoughts, or Tom and his thoughts, and you're kind of like, oh, this is a bit edgy. I'm not sure I want to be here, but by doing it, you work through the dark night of the soul, or you work through your barriers to the next door that opens up. And I think that one of the things, what as a parent, let's say, is especially when you're running, like, if I think everybody has their own juggle they're dealing with. So whether you're salaried or and a high salary or a low salary, whatever, you've got your world of a boss and somebody else and everything. If you're an entrepreneur and you're carving your way, and building something, you're going to have a different set of challenges. But whatever you're doing and whatever you have your challenges. And I think being a parent, and especially a dad doing that, I think has quite a lot of emotional challenges that you've got to bring with it. You want to supply, you want to provide, you want to be safe. Like you said, I mean, what a beautiful thing you said there, create a legacy for your children. But also at the same time, for the children, you don't want to take away their opportunity to work through things themselves.
exactly.
Where you can't, like, as a parent, or not as a parent, not just as a parent, as a human, you kind of want to really help people and wrap them in cotton wool and say, look, I can help you, come with me. But that isn't always the right way to do it, is it? It's like, here's some tools, choose some, go and do it for 3 months, go and do it for 12 months, and come back and tell me how have you performed. And often people will drop off after a few days or a few weeks. And yeah, this is the juggle of it. And so for the children, it's helping them to understand it's okay to have hard times, and it's okay to not achieve something that you set out to achieve, because you will learn so much from that will only make you stronger as long as you keep efforting, as you keep working towards your vision, your goals of what you'd like to achieve.
Well said. And there, in fact, the show is not available yet, but we did a recent episode, and Gordon, you probably recognize what I'm about to say because you were there with me. But there's going to be some episodes coming out in which we talk about similar topics to what you just mentioned, right? Like the ability to use your voice, but to also be vulnerable, especially as men, especially as men of today, to be able to talk about our pain instead of trying to mute it or trying to hide it, because it's going to come out and it's going to be manifested in some way or another. And I know we've talked about the book, The Body Keeps the Score, and that's just trauma trapped into our bodies that we don't release, but we can if we talk about it, if we learn how to work through that. And I'm constantly quoting this idea of there is no light without darkness. And so if you really take that seriously, or you at least leverage that sentiment into your life, then you kind of applaud the moments when you're having rough times, when, let's say, maybe you don't have enough money coming in, or you have to cut back on your spending, or you've got to move out of your place, or COVID happens, or whatever, right? But it's coming out of that is what makes us feel amazing. Like even just watching sports, when you go into double overtime and you win by 1 point when you probably should have won by 30, it's like sometimes those are the games that are most memorable. Those are the moments that are most memorable. So I do agree with you that we shouldn't be sheltering our kids by any means necessarily, like helicopter parenting. I feel like we should lead by example. And I think that's one of the best tools that I have, is to be able to lead by example. And so when someone sees me, I'm sure that I get the constant like, oh, Josh, you must have good genetics because your skin is so amazing, or your hair is so good, or you're whatever, you're fit. But it's like, it's what I'm doing at home. It's like, it's not just because I have the blueprint, the genetic blueprint of looking the way I do and the height and things like that. It's the work that I'm doing constantly. You come to my
Yeah.
house.
In the quiet hours. In
Yeah.
the quiet hours when no one's looking,
Yeah.
this is the show. You're on the show now. And of course, that's what, like you said before, this is what people see. But the hours you've put into the gym, the hours of reading you've done, the connections with people to learn, well, why do I take this supplement with that one to make this and my skin healthy or hair longer or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so fascinating because I so I don't always have loads of people at my place because I like to protect my energy. And I know that sounds very esoteric to some people, but you never know what people are bringing with them. Even if it's someone that you know and love and you've been with for long periods of time and you consider them great friends, you never know what energy they're bringing in that moment. And that's one of the pillars in my book, right? Which is the consumption, right? Quality consumption piece. And so I have the ability to dictate what energy comes in and out of this place that I live. But when I do get people coming over, I find that, and I understand where the questions are coming from, but a lot of times it's people will ask me like, well, why do you have all these supplements? And why do you have all this equipment? And why are you doing all these things? Like, can't you just live life a little bit more simplistic? And I understand where the question is coming from, but I always like to address it like, look, I could have all of this or none of this. The idea for me though is to be able to have something whenever I might need it, when I don't have the capacity to go and put my feet on the ground, when I don't have the capacity to go to a cold plunge at some place and spend the money on it. Like, the things that I'm doing is actually a part of my life, and it may not be for you. You may not want to do it that way, but this is how I'm living my life, and this is why I feel like I'm healthy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that you're paving a way for others to, like, when you go to a restaurant, they don't put everything on the menu so that you choose everything. They put it so that you can choose the things that you want that day. And I feel like, you're carving a really good path for exploration, understanding. You're committed, which now, like, if I see you're losing the methylene blue, right? Is that right? Yeah. So it's using, there we go. Look at that. So if I see you using that in the video, I'm not going to jump in straight away and go, oh, let me start taking. But I might say to you, how do I use it? What do I do with that? How does it help me? And it allows us to, should my children have that? No, you shouldn't. Okay, I won't be doing that to children. But for example, with our little device here, my daughter's 5. If she falls over and scrapes a knee or something, I'm straight on here with this. Bare wounds, anything like that. This is amazing technology for healing. And so if I see you using the red light therapy, I'm going to think, what is it? How do I do it? How do I help people? And so your deeper dive and passion for that, my brain can't, or I don't allow my brain to go in those depths. But you love being that space. That's where you get lit up. That's on your videos. You're constantly excited about these things, and that allows us to learn by standing on the shoulder of giants, essentially. So, I agree with you. And this idea of building who we want to become takes time. People look at legends who have been doing something for 40 years, and they just love them. We've been to the shows, we've been to the music shows, right? And we can come on to talking about that. But when you go and see Roger up on the stage, he's just a master at his art, and he's crafted his art through trying and twisting and doing it right and doing it wrong. And now when he does it, it's just perfect every time, and it's so soulful. And so exploring, again, it goes back to what I think I was saying at the start. As I feel that as humans, we are here to explore. We're here to understand and push the boundaries of how can I achieve something that's out there. Okay, I have to walk to that, the oasis in the desert. I have to walk through the desert to get to that oasis. And I think it's a beautiful part of the journey, really.
I constantly, mine just went off. So I did 2 rounds of this. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off.
Nice.
I feel activated. I feel good, but we will dive into this a little bit more. But one of the things I wanted to mention before we move on is I constantly say this analogy or this mantra, if you will. And you touched on an important piece about the fact that because I'm saying something doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to do that. And I love your analogy of the restaurant having a menu so that you can choose what you want. I like to do things because of the sentiment of anytime there's a question, there's an opportunity to educate. And if a person feels like they are in a space in which they are considered an expert or they have a lot of knowledge about certain things, then you can use that to your advantage. So it's the reason why I opened the show with this thing around my neck, because I know I'm going to get questions about it. It's the reason why I wear this magnetic necklace or this, EMF device here around my necklace or my neck as well. It's because I like to have an opener. It's like an easy conversation starter. I love talking to people. So it's like, well, why not? And there is some real science behind it, but that's not the point. The point is to get you talking. It's like,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
have neck pain because I was getting my hair done, right? And when I get my hair done, I'm kind of like stuck in this tense position for a long period of time. So I legitimately use this for two purposes. One, because my neck has been hurting, so I've been using this even without doing the show. Two, I thought this would be a really good conversation starter, and here we are. We're talking about it, right? So it's a
We're
really good way
talking
to do
about
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's right. And I mean, let's just touch on sort of why does light therapy work? People say, how can you shine light on your neck and it does anything? How can you shine light on an arthritis inflamed knee and it helps? And we can deep dive into the science of it, but the super short version is mitochondria. It's stimulating the mitochondria, which is creating or is increasing the blood flow, but it's stimulating mitochondria that allows for the increased production of ATP and nitric oxide. And that's kind of the shortest way of explaining it. And I'm sure many of your listeners will understand depth science, but for those that don't, the nitric oxide and the ATP is essentially what is powering your body and the energy healing, the healing process, and helping to remove the inflammation and allowing the body to heal itself. So when we use this, the other analogy that we like to say, or I've sometimes used, is people say about light. How can light impact? Well, if you go out in the sun, you get suntanned. That is just light changing the color of skin. It's the same sort of concept. Is light is going to change the physiology in the body, and once you start using it, there's a whole, our product is one product of many that are available in the market. I've seen you've got a fabulous blanket or sleeping bag, right? Light therapy sleeping bag, really cool. Also, the one thing that I would say to any listeners is try to use the ones that are closest to the skin. If you're trying to heal something specific, like arthritis in your elbow or knee, try to use something that's against the skin, because then you're getting the exact dosage every time. And I think that this is the key, is when you as a biohacker or a health optimization explorer, you will be taking dosage of anything that what the dosage is, because then you can test, right, this week I'm going to do 5 a day, next week, which was recommended, but next week I'm going to do 10 a day and see what happens, and the week after I'm going to go 2 a day and see what happens. And then you're going to have your after a month you're going to have a thesis of responses to what dosage works or impacted. And it's the same with using light, is that the dosage of light is key. If you're in the sun too close or too long, you're going to burn, it's going to hurt. If you're in not much light, you're not going to get any suntan. And it's the same idea with this, is that if you have the right dosage, which is why Josh did 15 minutes and he's done it twice, but if you do the dosage correctly, then you will be getting the right amount of light to improve the quality of your life, reduce that pain, and help your body heal to the next level.
Yeah, and I would just like to piggyback on that, because I think for the lay person, for the average person who may not even understand your simplified explanation, I think one of the easiest things for people to understand. So when I talk to people, because I do understand that I talk to people at certain levels of understanding, right? One of the first things I say is that this can help improve circulation. And when you can improve circulation, I think most people can kind of understand what that means. And usually that's followed up by another question, which is another opportunity to educate, right? And so once you can kind of start talking about oxygen delivery to the tissue, like improving the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cells, right? So like even this video that is popped up right now,
super cool.
right?
Thanks,
like
Gordon.
Yeah, this is stimulating the mitochondria. So if you need to see it at this very deep sort of like scientific level, you guys have all of that, right? Like we can talk about that for sure. But what is the gist of it? What is the point? The point is, as you said, get it as close to your skin as possible, use it as much as possible. So it needs to be portable. It needs to be very easy to use. And that's what increases compliance, because you can have the most amazing technology in the world, but if you don't use it, it doesn't work.
Yeah, consistency is key, right?
Yeah,
consistency is key for these things. And just that, Gordon, thanks for that video. That was super cool, because that brings me back to so many amazing thoughts. That what would we be in about 2 years ago when we were launching our first campaign, and we didn't know, we were selling a promise, right, Josh? Remember, we'd read the paper, we read the science, we knew that this technology worked, but we didn't have a product. Right, so we were selling a promise, not a product. And that video there was called Revive. That was our previous company name. We got a cease and desist. I mean, just as you think that life is hard and you don't have the money and you're working 3 jobs and you're hustling through it and you launch your product, someone comes knocking on your door and says, by the way, you got a cease and desist. You have to change your company. You have to change all your branding. You have to change all your packaging. We had to do a full rebrand and everything, or fight them in court. And obviously, what's the point of fighting somebody in court? We didn't have an established name. We weren't hooked on that name. So we just changed the product name and got on with it and got forward with our lives. And thankfully, they left us alone. And, we reached out to them. The thing in life is, well, one thing that myself and Forrest really believe in is communication is really, really important. And being open to connecting with really good people and understanding that we're not always right just because we think it's right. That might be in our paradigm in our world, but collaboration on moving forward to find the win-win is the most important thing. And we reached out to the founders of that company, and they didn't want to talk to us. They sent lawyers, they sent lawyer letters and everything, and we said 3 or 4 times, let's just hop on a call, let's talk through this. And they didn't want to. So anyway, that's the end of that. But just when I saw that video, that was super cool.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because yet again, that was another dark moment in your journey, and you came out of that, because most people would crumble. Can you imagine like starting a company and maybe investing all that you have, and this money could have been going to your family or to doing something else, and then you make some products and now you have to stop? Like, what? Like, So good on you guys for getting through that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Before we carry on, I feel like this is a really good point to do a movement break. Okay, so we're gonna have our little movement moment, and then of course I do think we should really get into some of the newer products that are in the market, and what else you guys are working on, and just basically riff on whatever. Because I also want to talk about our a special little story that we had when you came to the show in London. So we will talk about that, but let's do a movement break. What is something that you would do? Because I think you're sitting right now. I'm standing. We've both been sitting and standing in place basically for a long period of time. What would you normally do in situations like this to get out of that?
Yeah, okay. Well, one thing I'll just show you I'm sitting on a chair, but what I have is one of these. I don't know if you've seen one of those. Yeah. So it's like sitting a little bit like sitting on a medicine ball, but I think I bought this secondhand for £20, $25, right, from Facebook Marketplace or something, and that just gives me a little bit more wiggle on the seat, so it's not totally. So this is called a Sissel, SISSEL. Maybe Gordon can find something online, but that's pretty cool. I have no affiliation with them. I
think the middle part of that is supposed to be hollow, right, for hemorrhoids.
Yeah, it's no, this one is full of air, my friend. This one is full of air. All so right. What I would do is, so you're gonna see part of my room, so hopefully the video doesn't, but what I have here in my room is a couple of these things. Boom, ba-dum, boom, boom.
Oh yes, love those.
Yeah, so I would normally get onto here, and to be honest with you, I just get in, if you can see that. And just bang out a few dips.
What are those called again? I forget. It's
parallettes, is it, or something like this?
Yeah, but there's a specific name for those. I used to have a pair, but I gave them to my studio. I used to have a pair of yellow ones. Yeah. Do you have is there a name on the on the like handle or on the base?
Found the system.
Again,
Oh,
I
you
bought
found
it
it.
from Facebook
Okay.
Marketplace. Some of these things. This is again one of the things that people look at in your space, Josh, and they'll say, "Oh, but I can't afford X, Y, and Z." And it's like, yeah, but you don't have to have everything. If you want to make the journey and the changes, and you can't afford it, make the baby steps. Go to Facebook Marketplace, put a shout out, see what you can get. $20, you get something like this.
Those are
So
called the LeBert equalizer bars. That's what those are called. LeBert.
right,
LEBERT.
okay,
LeBert equalizer. Yeah. That was
yeah,
I think the original version. Those are the ones that I like when I first
mm,
kind of heard about it. And those
hmm
things are amazing. I think they also call them the
hmm
total body parallel bars, things like that. But for those who are not watching, I just wanted to give you an
oh
explanation so
yeah,
you kind of know what he's talking about. But he was doing some nice dips, and I see you also have a rebound over there.
yeah. Got the rebounder. Actually, a present from my mum. So mum's a great interesting story. She's 71 in November, and she's still smashing F45, I think 2 or 3 times a week. She loves a
Wow.
rebounder thing. She works in China, lives in China, so pretty on it lady. She's good. But
Wow.
yeah, the rebounder again, Facebook Marketplace. Someone bought it. It's paid probably what $100, took a couple $100, and I think I got it for maybe $30 or $40.
Wow.
But what it means is that we can take from you, Josh. You just said there, we've been standing. How do we move? Okay, one tick. How do I move? Okay, I don't have all the things but I can do some push-ups, I can do some sit-ups, I can do some squats. And that's normally what I do is 10 dips and 10 squats, because you're just getting the movement then. And if I feel like it, 10 push-ups as well. So 30,
Beautiful. Beautiful.
30 items. Yeah.
It's a great movement break. Thank you for sharing, and we got a chance to see behind the scenes because the way you have your space set up, I'm quite like I'm inspired. Really, I see you've got the guitar there, you've got the nice Kineon neon
Yeah.
light. So like if I remember correctly, you also are into music, yeah?
I I love music. We when we filmed, so our film company, we were a lot of people know Sennheiser. They do the headphones or microphones for all the big stars, really. Like, well, all of them. Rihanna, everybody uses my Sennheiser mics. But we were for 4 years. We traveled all around China, filming all of the big shows, jazz festivals, blues festivals, private music shows, recording studios, and then we filmed in Germany and Asia, Australasia, and all over America actually as well. So yeah, so we love music in the family. One of my other brothers is a music producer for film and TV, award winner. I play guitar. I play it for only me, just strumming away for those mini breaks. But music is in our family, and my dad has been in a band for the last 50 years and different various bands. So yeah, we're pretty musical.
Bro, you actually had the perfect setup for a movement break to play us a little song. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't mind the dips on the parallel bars as well, but I'm just saying. So
If I could sing, Josh, I would be more inclined to do that. But if I sing as well, we'll have no viewers. That is for certain instantly.
Well, you'll have to check into one of our upcoming shows because we had a voice coach come onto our show, and yeah, you'll hear some of the vocals from yours truly and Mr. Gordon. With his deep
Wow.
voice.
Oh,
So
awesome.
so
That's cool.
if
That's
you're a
really
fan
cool.
of this show, definitely stay tuned for that. But speaking of music, I do want to talk about the second time that we met in person, which so you came to London, and that first time was right before we embarked on the European tour with Roger Waters, and we had been in London for about a week or so, and we got a chance to see each other. But then you came back to London because I invited you to the show, and there was a lot of really cool things that happened through that. Let's talk about that because, by the way, Roger Waters is a big fan of the Move Plus, and I can wholeheartedly say that he uses this basically every day. I mean, he might miss a day or two, but it's one of the things that, like, if you go to his house or you're around him, he's gonna have this nearby. And it's like one of the first things he does when he wakes up is he pops this on his knee or any place that might be quote unquote stiff. So he uses the word stiff. I say sore, but like, you know, being from the UK, right? And so anytime he's a little bit stiff, whether it's on his back or his knee or his wrist or his hands, he's always using it. And you know when a person really likes a product or a service because they will mention it to some of their closest friends and family. And that's what he's also done. And so I just want to put that out there because, you know, you may not feel like you could talk about that, but I do think that that is important to talk about because it means a lot to me. I had at one point I had 4 Move Plus devices. I had 4, and I don't need 4 for myself, but like maybe I could give it to a client here and there. And so that's what I did. I gave Roger 1, and then what did he ended up doing? He ended up giving it to one of his best friends. Then he ended up giving the other one that I had that I then gave to him. He gave that one away to, I think, his management team. And so now it's like, all right, I need to hold on to my devices. But then, of course, you know, we fixed that situation once I saw you in London. But let's talk about that part of it, because I know it's an important piece, even up into the point where we got something signed for you. I know that's important too. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for me to being a lover of music anyway and respecting live music is phenomenal to meet any musician. And I've been fortunate doing what we have done in the film production side to meet a lot of amazing musicians. But to actually meet Roger, to have him use our device, to have him speak so highly, and as you say, pass it to his friends is pretty awesome. Considering that, you know, we weren't even we only started shipping last September. So when we met you, in fact, that first device you gave to Roger probably was one of our first versions of it. And when I came down the first time to you and I brought 2 or 3 more, they were actually the upgraded versions. So he gave his friend the older one and he got an upgraded version with it. And I remember really excitedly telling you about these features and you're like, oh, this is great, because I wanted to ask about the strap and the timer and the bits. And, you know, you graciously invited me and Roger invited me down to the show. And I brought one of my best friends, Rob Platt. I've known him since I was 13, so 30 years actually now, which is quite amazing. And we also brought his father-in-law, and his father-in-law still makes flight case components, but he made them for the original Pink Floyd tours back in the day. And when Pink Floyd had their show in London 6 years ago, I think it was now, it's called Their Mortal Remains with Aubrey Powell, and a mutual friend of both of ours. They actually had these flight cases in the show. And so for Roger to come and be at the event, and then Roger Waters sign the little handle from the flight cases. Yeah, this is it. That's super cool. The Pink Floyd exhibition.
People should know that your friend that you're speaking about, his name is also Roger.
Oh yeah, sorry, apologies. Yeah. Yeah, he's Roger. So yeah, so anyway, that was a beautiful thing to be connected in that roundabout way. And you know, to be in the presence of somebody that's mastered. I mean, Roger Waters from Pink Floyd, I believe, is 80 this year, if I remember correctly.
He just turned 80 last week.
There we go. Boom, 80 last week. And for him to perform like he did on a stage, I mean, one thing that he hasn't done, Josh, is he hasn't health optimized his life for the last 50 years. So he's operating from another realm, I think, to be going like that. But you keeping him on the stage and able to do shows like that, that energy he has is phenomenal. And you speak to most people, anyone above 60, and they've all got knee pain, they've all got joint pain. Speak to people above 70, nearly all of them do. Speak to them at 80, people aren't, you know, they're struggling to get to the shop and back. And so it's a testament to what you're doing with him. And thankfully, as you say, he loves the Move Plus and is getting benefits from it as well.
Well, speaking of age, especially at that level, I mean, just think about some people that are well known today that are around that age and compare people like Biden, people like Senator McConnell. I mean, this dude is literally like rebooting on national TV. Like, what is happening? Like, what? Right. But then you got somebody like Roger who pushes me. I mean, to this day, he can keep up with me, if not go longer than me in a plank. you know. And like this is
Wow.
I'm dead serious. Like the last time I did
Wow.
a long plank as long as I could, and this was for money, like me and the security guards backstage. A lot of times, you know, the fellas get together, we got a bunch of downtime before the show or in the middle of a show or whatever, so we do the most random things. You know how guys are, right? And so
Yeah.
sometimes what we'll do is we'll challenge each other to like, hey, I bet you can't jump and touch that. And I'll look at it and I'll go, okay, you're on. Or one time we got to talking about who can do the longest planks, and we figured out that I think the world record for a plank today, Gordon, you can maybe look this up, but I think the world record is around 9 hours, right? And I was telling these
What?
guys, I was telling these guys this story about one of the first times that I heard a world record was this guy who did it for about 8 hours. Yeah, right here. It's 9 hours and 38 minutes and 47 seconds. That's the current world record. Now, here's what's interesting about that. And this is the reason why this was relevant to the guys I was talking to. As I said, most people can't even sleep in one position for 9 hours and 38 minutes or whatever, right? And so like
Yeah.
maintaining a position like that is crazy. And so I was telling them this story back when I was first training, and actually when I first met Roger, his trainer at the time, his name is Mike Zeminski. Shout out to Mike Z. Mike and I, we were in this amazing club, and we were talking about the world record of a plank. And at that time, it was only like, well, I say only, it was around 8 hours. And apparently, this guy from Eastern Europe, the reason why they said that he stopped doing the plank at that time, because I think it was almost like right at 8 hours, is because they said like for his entire adult life, since he had become a father, he had never missed dinner with his family one single time. And if he had
Wow.
continued doing a plank, he would have missed dinner with his family. So he got up from the plank, got the world record, and was like, you know, I'm done. That's it. And then, of course, since then, I think two other guys have beaten the plank, and now it's, you know, 9 hours and something. But the goal at that
Crazy.
time, the funny part about that is Mike Z was like, man, for like a certain amount of money, I could do that. And there was all these like financial investment guys who have a lot of money throwing around a lot of numbers. They're like, you know, would you be able to do that for $100,000? And Mike was like, man, I could do that. Yeah, I could do it. And so another guy in the room overheard this conversation and was just like, if you think you could do that, he said, I'll match it. And then another guy jumped in. Now we got the whole place talking, and it got up to about $500,000, and was like,
Wow.
and then I even said, because I ain't got that kind of money, but I was like, look, I'll find a way to double it, right? I'll find a way to get you to $1 million if you can do an hour. If you just do an hour, because I know how tough it is, right? Man, this dude tried it for about, I don't know, he probably got to 5 minutes and was like, yeah, this is not gonna happen, you know. So but long story short, Roger to date, he has, like, in our group, he has the longest plank whole time. I did it with him, but it was just over 7 minutes. It's static in a
Wow.
plank. And then
Wow.
me and the security guards, we ended up doing a little bit. It was like, okay, well, what can we realistically do? And I said, well, 7 minutes is pretty tough. I don't know if I can do that right now, but I could probably do 6 minutes. And so they put up money. They were like, okay, if you can do 6 minutes, then, you know, then we'll give you some money, or, you know, I think it was like $150, but still, like, I had a goal and I hit the goal, but I couldn't get to 7 minutes. And so the fact that
Yeah.
Roger can still beat me at this age is like incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what it is. And like even my mum, you know, doing F45 3 times a week or 4 times a week, it's about a bit about the mindset, and it's about just committing to stuff and really, and yeah, getting out your comfort zone, going and working towards it. But the trip down to see Roger, I think, with what he's doing with Pink Floyd and the stage setup and the energy he has, I mean, you were keeping him in really good pace, because it's one thing to do the show, and it's another thing to do the show multiple times, week after week after week, and it's another thing to do the show multiple times week after week and do all the traveling and setup and meetings and press and, you know, life as well, you know, daughters and sons and wives and ex-wives and paparazzi saying stuff, and people trying to cancel him all the time and political stuff. It's a lot going on, and a lot of it's up here. And so, yeah, it was for me. It was an honor to see him, and maybe, as he said, maybe that's going to be his last show in London. We don't know, but what a rock star. And yeah, I think that if people respect him and they have knee pain, try our product. That's all I can say. We offer a 30-day money guarantee. So if you're not sure, just do it, try it. You will get the results. Get in touch with me. Josh can leave my email address, or you can contact us through social or anything. And we're happy to jump on a call with you, both myself and my business partner, Forrest. Happy to jump on a call, talk about the issue that you've had, talk about how to get the most out of Move Plus, and help you get a protocol program around it. And, if you are one of Josh's communities and listening, we can jump on with Josh even, and we can do 15-20 minutes together and chat through it. If that works. So
yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And we even discussed possibly doing some social media lives and things like that. So I'm happy to do that too. And I just want to reiterate.
That'd be cool.
I want to reiterate, because you mentioned if you have any knee pain, reach out to you. But this goes far beyond just knee pain. I think any kind of joint pain and at least in the way that I use it, right, is like this vagal nerve stimulation, which is part of the reason why I had that on my neck. But then also the neck pain was from the back. But because there's 3 little nodules, right, I've got one for the back of the neck, but these other 2 was perfectly placed for the vagus nerve, right? So we can get some vagus nerve stimulation, which just helps to keep you in a calming state. So like you said, there's some ways to do some protocols to help. And then obviously, like, maybe you can find out that you don't have to leave it in this setup. Like, I have another setup because I have more than one device, by the way. I still have my 2 own devices, right? Which is good.
Yeah,
but
good.
I have one set up to where I constantly leave it to where I can move those pieces around. So it doesn't always have to be just the 2-in-1 setup like it comes, right? So just know that you can adjust it, you can make it smaller. Gordon, I think you have a video that shows some different placements. Yeah. So here we go. Is that your leg, Tom?
No, that was actually filmed in Thailand with my brother. It's his film studio. And if you travel to Thailand, Josh, you've got to go see Max. He's doing beautiful stuff with sustainability and authentic storytelling. And get Gordon down there. Gordon, you need to work with Josh to get him on holiday down to Thailand. Yeah, you see here, you can see you've got it on the elbow, you've got it on the wrist. Hey, this is really cool to see this video. Oh yeah, down on the ankle. Look at that, you see. So the straps are super versatile. And actually, did we send you an extender strap?
Yes.
Do you have a body strap?
Yep.
You've got one of those. Because for example, look, that's the classic one on the knee. I actually had a hair transplant a couple of months ago. I thought I'd try it. It worked and all the rest of it. But you can, even if you're not having a hair transplant, we often do it for the brain. So I'll put this is the extender on the back there, but I'll often have it here, and I'll just do 5 or 10, 15 minutes treatments like this, and it's brilliant. And it helps. I mean, you look a little bit odd sat in meetings and people see me with my bunny ears, which is quite entertaining. But that's a really good setup. And then your shoulder or your back or wherever it is. But one thing I'd love to just mention is, as a technology, you're going to see this more and more. Yeah, the new device that you've got with the plug in the size.
Oh,
yeah. Do you have
I recognize the new one.
Do you have the blue bit on the side of yours?
No.
No. Oh, how about the other one?
Nope.
No. Oh, we've got to get you the new. Okay, so when we get the new ones out, I'll get you something sipped out as well, because that's a pretty cool feature to charge it through the side.
Just so you know,
but
I'm gonna be in London soon, very soon.
You make sure you tell me when you're coming. When are you coming?
I'll arrive on the 24th, so in a couple of days, and then I'll be in London till the middle of October, so around October 17th, something like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, I travel to Holland tomorrow for 2 days, and I'll be back Saturday. But I'll come down. We'll come down. We'll do it face to face. We'll have something to eat, chill out a little bit.
Maybe we'll do some content.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cool.
That'll be amazing. But one thing I just wanted to say is the follow-up products we're doing. So this is currently a neuromuscular one, so joint health, soft tissue, everything like this. and it's beautiful. The results are amazing. Go and check out our Trustpilot score. Go and see customer feedback, testimonial feedback, not from just athletes, but from everyday people. But we are bringing down our pipeline. One is for gut health and the vagal, what you mentioned, and one is for the brain, which is going to be fantastic. It helps with depression, anxiety, but also things like Alzheimer's and dementia, which is a real challenging, debilitating mental illness that's coming. And we can talk about that a bit later or on another program. But the one I did want to just mention, which is I'm personally really excited about, which is a bit unusual being a man, is our femtech, is female health. So the menstrual cycle. So a lot of women have period pains, as it's known, every month. And then also a lot of women, a lot more than I realize, have endometriosis. And it's really sad to hear of the pain that happens for ladies, many ladies, every single month or more often with endometriosis. And even today, I got a message from someone who's using it, and it has helped already reduce various things inside it, which I won't go into, but reduce the sizes from challenges she's having. But also with the endometriosis, it's massively reducing that. And this is, although this is not set to quite the optimal wavelength and dosage, it works. And our new product will be able to change the frequencies, change the dosages, and for women in particular, will be a game changer. So again, it's a promise, not a product. So we have to get it out. We have to get the support and get the news around it. But of all the things about the gut health, and I know gut health is a major topic for people, I'm most excited about helping ladies with this menstrual pain, because I think, I hear stories where ladies can't go to work, they can't go to school, they just doubled up in agony, and it just must be such an awful thing, knowing that that's going to come around in every 3 months, 3 or 4 weeks. So
Wow.
things like that with this as a technology. Yeah, exactly, man. It's really inspiring. And with things like this, with the technology of light therapy, you're going to see it in more and more places. And I encourage anyone to try it, test different things, try to get the better quality that you can do, borrow one from somebody or get one from us, the payment plans and things like that, if you feel like it, and share it. As I say, if my daughter has pain, I'll use it on her. My wife, when she was pregnant with our second child, had what's it called, sciatica, and she had it for about 2 months on her first pregnancy with my daughter, my first child. With my son, she had it about 3 days, and it went boom, gone. And just using the device every day, and the same with her C-section, she used it for that, and it was just within a few days had massive results from it. So yeah, it's usable. You can use it, allow other people in the family to use it for their pains and their issues. Like, you've got a bad neck today, but tomorrow you might have a bad shoulder.
Right.
You can it's portable.
Yeah. Well said. And again, I do realize that we haven't done all of the talking about the deep science, and that's by design, because it's all there. It's there on the website. We did talk about that in the previous episode with Forrest, and we wanted to use this opportunity to kind of talk about some of the more exciting things, because like, I didn't know about that one, right? Like, it's cool that you guys are coming out with a device that allows you to change the frequency, which is important. But also imagine having a tool that works for more than just pain. Imagine a tool that can help you calm down. Imagine a tool that can help you get out of, menstrual pain. Like, these things can help change your quality of life. And I know that it sounds like a big promise, and it sounds a little bit like, over glorified. But when you're in the midst of dealing with menstrual pain, I can only imagine what that feels like. And if you can somehow be taken out of that, or you're in the midst of having sciatica pain, like, sometimes that's the difference between sitting down or standing up, or going somewhere or not going somewhere. So anyway,
and one thing on that, Josh, to say is, it's not necessarily about saying, oh, my knee's hurting, use the device, oh, I can now run up, Mount Everest. Sometimes it's about taking people from a level 7, 8 pain, on a 10 scale pain, down to a 3 or 4, so they can just get off the sofa and go make a cup of tea without it being in pain. Or it's the difference between somebody being able to go to work and earn some money, or being doubled up on the sofa for the day, not able to go to work. You may still have some pain or some background discomfort at work, but at least you can turn up, show up, do what you need to do, and leave. So yeah, it's about.
And it's also not even just being able to get up and do those things, but it can also enable you to be able to do the physical therapy that's necessary.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Because
it.
like,
Absolutely.
I think people
Absolutely.
don't understand that, like, sometimes you may not be in the best situation, right? You might be in too much pain to even do physical therapy. So this again goes back to keeping you compliant to a point to where you can get that consistency, because it is about consistency. It's not that the light is going to miraculously heal anyone, but it could. It could be a catalyst to helping someone heal themselves.
Sorry, I was playing the video from the website.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I was like, what? Am I hearing things? Anyway,
This is the testimonial
I
from
would
a
hope-
professional
I would hope-
athlete.
I think it was a
Sorry, I guess there's no volume, but obviously professional athletes are
That's
using
good.
this as well.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So Michael Kuma is an amazing guy. I think he ran 100 meters or Olympic level for Austria, I think it was, if I remember correctly. But he's an amazing health optimization biohacker, media guy that's based out of Atlanta, actually. And he's been using our device from one of our very early beta test stages. And he's a no bullshit kind of guy, like you, Josh. It's if it works, I'm going to use more of it. If it doesn't work, I'm going to tell people, and I'm not going to use it. And so he got loads of benefit from it and really enjoys using it, like yourself. Yeah.
amazing. So as we kind of start like winding down and wrapping up, like I want to make sure we hit on a number of the things that you would like to discuss, and then obviously I want to make sure that we have some level of discussion around this investment opportunity in case people are interested.
Mm-hmm.
So what are there anything else that you wanted to make sure that we hit on before we talk about that?
I think we've covered some great stuff here, mate, and I really appreciate just chatting with you. Hopefully the first of more conversations we have, and if we're in London, we can do some topics maybe out on the streets of London.
Yeah.
Have it a little bit raw and down and dirty. Could be quite fun.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe go and chat about some food somewhere or something. Everybody's got a different, I eat predominantly plant-based, and you have different variations of your diet that you do, and so everyone's got, so we could do some of that. But I think that one of the most important things I can say at this stage is about anybody that's watching this and feels overwhelmed about what they're doing, or they're in a challenging situation, or they're trying to work through it, or finances or relationships or emotional things, is this too shall change. And as we're going through life, the lessons that we are given are there to help us, not to break us. And with that happening, try to pause in the moment of the pain or suffering or the challenges that you're with, and just sit with it and be present with it. And that'll allow you to then be able to reflect from a position of calmness about how life will work out, and it does work out in the end. And I know that's not necessarily where you were trying to ask me to go into, but I felt like I feel like it's an exploration for me, and it's something that I want to try to verbally present to people. And over my duration of the future years, I would like to, in my mind, to understand this deeper level, so I can try to help other people also understand it in themselves and inspire them to take that moment of just that stillness and think, this too shall pass. I can work through this. It doesn't have to be a moment of epiphany and magic and all these bright lights. It's just about, be calm and be with yourself in those moments. So I just wanted to share something like along those lines, if that's all right.
Absolutely. And I quickly recalled that we forgot to talk about, or at least I forgot to bring up the fact that I just saw you guys posted some content around some award that you just won. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so we had this, there's this really cool, so Ministry of Sound, if anyone knows the Ministry of Sound, it's one of the most famous nightclubs in England. They're celebrating their 40-year anniversary, I think it is, something like that. And we got invited by a company called Brawn. So Brawn are a strength training app, and they ran what's called the Brawn Games. So they invited 150 PTs, and there's the video. They invited 150 PTs and coaches and just strength people to perform like this in a competition. And they also invited 8 companies. They selected 8 startup tech health tech businesses to come and do a presentation in a 5-minute pitch to a panel, and then 5-minute Q&A afterwards. And so we did with a team there with Bex and Tor. There we are, Ministry of Sound. We did our pitch, our 5-minute pitch. There we are, and we won. We got chosen as the innovation company of that event, of that games. And so that was really honorable for us to come away with not only like a great day meeting amazing people, amazing brands, amazing athletes, but also to have that award. So yeah, we were really proud about that. And actually what was really funny is 2 guys were sat on our table just before it all started, and we really nice guys, and we got chatting with them and blasted their elbows and their shoulders and their knee that had pain, and they were about to compete. Their team also ended up winning the entire competition right at the end as well. So we won our innovation bit and they won their bit. So it was quite cool. So yeah, thanks for remembering that and bringing that up. Appreciate it.
Bravo. So before we go into the last couple of questions, let's talk about this investment opportunity, because I do understand how powerful it can be, and as a startup, you know, I understand the importance of being able to call these things out. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thanks for raising this. So we so far, as I mentioned, we're bootstrapped, and we've come on leaps and bounds. 10,000 units shipped worldwide, over nearly $4.5 million of revenue, and amazing athletes all around the world are using the device. So we now want to raise money so that we can develop product 2 and product 3, and have bring in more of a team around our marketing, messaging, and platform, so that we can layer in more products and help more people, such as the medtech product for ladies' health, menstrual cycles, and endometriosis, but also gut, vagal, brain, all that sort of thing. So this is our first step into the world of raising money specifically and selling off part of the company. But we also went back to our community, because the community is what got us founded. As I said, we were selling a promise, not a product. So people were putting in money to something that didn't necessarily or wouldn't necessarily work, or we wouldn't even be able to deliver on it. But we did deliver on it. So we wanted to go back to that community and say, you can own a piece of Kineon from as little as $500. You can invest in our company. You get a small percentage of the shares allocated on, we're selling 15%. So we're raising $3 million for 15%, which gives a pre-money valuation of $20 million. So you can own whatever amount of money you put in. It's $1 a share. So you $500, you get 500 shares. And you can own a small bit, and you will get a return on that. You'll get dividends. And it's just a really cool platform, really exciting platform, to a really exciting way to do it. And we obviously have several VCs that are really interested, and angel investors and things, but going to the community mattered to us, because we're here for the people. We're truly here to help people. And so going back to them allowed us to really communicate more with that side of things. So yeah, if anyone's interested in the investment side of it, whether you're just a retail or home investor, or an accredited authorized investor, and you want to go a bit bigger in, we're open to all conversations around that.
You have that thing nailed down. I can tell you've been doing this quite a bit. Like I know you and I have talked offline about what it's like to raise money, and I'm in the same process you guys are in. You guys are obviously a lot bigger company than my little small, you know, System Fit brand, but the idea is kind of the same, right? It's being vulnerable and sort of putting your money where your mouth is, and admitting to the world that you need help. But then when you find those right people, when you find the right community, then that's the people you want anyway, right? You don't want, because like we've all heard this expression, not all money is good money, right? We want the people who believe in the product or service, so that they can continue to help grow, and we all grow together. And I think that's very, very important. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And
no, absolutely. And I think that one thing to state on that is that we've had many of the athletes that we work with have also invested in Kineon, and that's because they believe in the product, they believe in the technology, they believe in us as a company, and they believe in the technology, whether it's with our products or other products. They believe in the technology because it works, it's science backed, it's the 6,000 studies, and it's just beautiful science. So you know, the fact that Roger Waters, he chooses, of all the things he could do in his life, he chooses to use this as one of his supporting healing modalities, it's not a magic pill. You don't just use this and everything, your world's perfect. You have to do other things around it. But this is an aid to help reduce the pain and inflammation, so you can get up and do 7-minute planks if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So on the investment side, we welcome all conversations from everybody.
And I also will add into the show notes here in the description. At some point in the description, I'll add my link, which I believe also gives a discount for anybody that's interested in getting a device, because I feel like that's important too, because it's one of the ways that helps support this show, but also gets you involved in using this device. So I do have that. I'll send that over to Gordon so he can post that in the show notes. So now let's get to
Thank you.
the fun part of the show, which is the last couple of questions I like to ask. So the first question is, Tom, what are your top 2 pet peeves? What are a couple things that just really annoy you about anything in life? Doesn't have to be about Move Plus or Kineon.
Okay, so one of them, which is absolutely random, is parking tickets.
That's why I love this question.
Yeah, I respect, you got to respect people for the jobs they choose and have to do. I don't understand the process to how you get up and you choose a job that you end up being a parking ticket attendant. But just the fact that when you get a ticket, you know that you've missed something, or you've done it on purpose. If you've done it on purpose, then that's a different sort of situation. But so often you get a ticket through genuinely misfortune, and it's just something that's irritating, and they don't care. They don't want to listen to you, so you can't get back on it. So that was the first one.
But before you carry on, sorry to cut you off. Just to your point about the choosing that job or having to do that job. Imagine this, right? From their perspective, imagine, and I don't know what the percentage is of this happening, but that job is, to my knowledge, a demotion. Usually, it's usually a demotion.
Right.
So they're entering into a job they don't want to do anyway, and then when they get a chance to kind of wield their little bit of imposed power or perceived power, then they use that, and so it starts off in a kind of a weird situation anyway. But I totally agree with you. I think it's like
incentives.
Yeah.
I mean, better incentive structure.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
Yeah, that's it.
Please carry on.
Pet peeve number 2. I mean, I'm kind of struggling, Josh. I think one of my pet peeves, I guess, is, well, okay, I'm going to do this one. When you put up something online, not you, when somebody puts something up online, I am 100% up for, let's have a conversation. If you disagree with me, please come and talk with me. Let's talk about it. I do not think I am perfect or right by a million miles. And I'm always open to discussing a lot of different things. Like, for example, I eat a plant-based diet. You can imagine most people want to challenge that on every level possible. So you kind of get used to that as a discussion point. One of my pet peeves is people that you put something online and people just keyboard warrior behind, and they just say things that they just don't want to back up with any kind of science or any kind of explanation. And then when you ask them for a call or ask them, hey, look, I want to learn about your reasoning why you said this, and they don't want to discuss it. And I guess that's the part of the world of online, and you just accept that and you get on with it. But it's a pet peeve to think that people, they're so opinionated to be able to write on something that you've put out there, but they're not prepared to at least have a conversation in text on it, or ideally just have a phone call face to face and just talk through it, because it's a chance for both sides to learn. So I guess my pet peeve isn't on the people that write, because I think there's a mental illness with that, but I think the pet peeve is the lack of desire to actually learn and expand the mind and thinking.
Yeah,
I
don't feed the trolls.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, something that I've been recently juggling in my brain around that topic, so I'm glad you brought that up, is nowadays I I'm sure you can imagine I get it all the time. You know, if I promote a product that is
Yeah.
like, it seems like woo woo science from grounding
Yeah.
to EMF blocking or, you know, mitigation
Yeah,
or whatever,
exactly.
like I get it all the time. But what I find to be very interesting, and I was considering to do a post on it, and I might do it at some point, but like if a company is willing to sponsor an ad, let's say, because one of the most contentious ones I get is anything that has to do with EMFs or 5G, right? People
Mm.
like they go to town, like the trolls come
Yeah,
out,
they
they
love it.
come out from everywhere, right? And but what
Yeah.
I find to be interesting is what that does for the algorithm is it boosts the
Yeah.
post naturally. And so it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. Should I be thinking about like, why are these people acting this way? Or should I be kind of letting it happen? Should I just kind of welcome it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so this reason why I said struggle or juggle with the thought of this is because what they actually think they're doing is
Mhm.
counterintuitive to what they think they're doing, right? They
Yeah.
feel like they're trying to like
That's it.
expose something, but all they're doing is making it more prevalent.
It's the
Yeah.
Streisand effect, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah, I
famous
think
story.
that's yeah, that's. I mean, you're absolutely right there. The playing the Facebook algorithm is the classic, and yeah. What can I say? It would be good to test it, but also just go away. Like, let the
Right.
world get on with it. You know, if you want to learn and know, learn and know. Like, I want to challenge. We should be challenging 5G claims. We should be challenging EMF. We should be challenging red light because it's new. It's not what the doctors are doing. But we should also be challenging why the doctor is saying no to something that's modern technology when what they learned is 30 years old, and they're just teaching the same thing. So yeah, when you go to a doctor's, I went to a doctor about nut, and the doctor that I spoke to, he said, "Oh no, it's okay to take nasal steroids because I've been taking it since I was 7." And I was like, that is not an answer that my brain wants to accept. Now he might be right, but I'm not going to accept the fact that he said it's because he's had it since he was 7 that I should take it myself. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and then he's not going to allow me to use red light therapy to try it and test it. And so anyway,
We're at probably, in my opinion, one of the most intense periods of cognitive dissonance for our entire planet because there's so much new information coming out and so many things being challenged that a lot of people who are especially more set in their ways, whether it's through a PhD or some very rigid scientific background, this is challenging their identity. When you really come down to it, it's literally their identity, whether it's through politics or sports or science. People are having extremely rough reactions, but when you're somebody like Josh and I, and you really try to be more open-minded, doesn't mean you have to believe them, but at least you're open-minded. You have so much less anxiety and you open yourself up some new revelations that unfortunately a lot of people, they feel fight or flight almost.
Well,
yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that.
here's
And we had one the other day where this guy said on a post, he said, oh, Trustpilot, he said, "I'm a doctor. This doesn't work. I wish these guys wouldn't scam," or something like that. But he started with "I'm a doctor," which makes you think that, oh, okay, you know. But then if you find his LinkedIn profile and he was a nutritional medical clinician or something like that, it wasn't a doctor. So you're like, what? You're providing the misinformation and the disinformation instead of having a conversation with us to understand, well, what are here's the science, these are the results, you guys choose your decision on whether that's true or not.
Yeah, and how about try it? You guys, you mentioned that there's a money back guarantee, right? So
Yeah.
or how about try it, see for yourself, talk to some other people before being like, I need to let people know I'm a doctor, right? Because again, that Streisand effect is what ended up happening is that you went in to look into him, which got more clicks for him, right?
Yeah.
And then he thinks that he's like stopping people, but you guys got more people seeing that, and that raises the algorithm. So it's just, to me, it's just kind of like whatever. But how about this? And this will be a good teaser for our next episode that's coming out. If you really want to challenge your level of open-mindedness, check out our next episode coming out. Yeah. What is the next one, Gordon? What's the next one?
Which are you referring to Matt or Palladino?
The one with the light device, you know.
That's this week. So Tom Palladino, I'm posting that today. Yeah. So scalar energy.
Scalar energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you really want to challenge your level of like open-mindedness, like please check out this episode. It's a very fascinating one. And
Yeah.
Gordon and I, we grilled him. We grilled this guy, you know. But to your point, it's such a new technology that he doesn't expect everyone to understand. But like, you know,
and that's the right mindset. He had the right mindset about it, because if you don't, it screams of insecurity, right? My grandfather was an infectious diseases doctor, world renowned for many years, and he always taught me the validity of the scientific process. And what that means is constantly challenging, constantly having a curious mind. Science is constantly a stage of evolution and evolving based on new data. And he was very much into the scientific formality of double-blind, randomized, all those type of things. But ultimately, if anybody's coming to you and they're telling you don't even think, whether it's in a religious context or a scientific context, that just screams of insecurity. And that doesn't show that they're backing it up based on, you know, true belief. It's showing that they're actually in some way afraid that you're correct and they believe something falsely, and then they try to defend it. But it's not science. Science is based on always having an open mind, and we can go down the litany of historical examples of this, from Galileo to Copernicus to modern day quantum physics, and Einstein even being triggered by Niels Bohr and these guys calling it spooky action at a distance. So just keep that in mind when you really understand the history of science. And I think people think because we're so advanced in certain regards currently that we've like kind of peaked, but I think we have so much more. We've barely really glimpsed how much we really truly know.
Mic drop.
Yeah,
that's a mic drop. You're right.
Amen. Hey, I know who your next guest is going to be, Josh. You're going to need Gordon on the podcast.
Oh, I trust me. I know. I've been trying to get Gordon to sit down with me. But what has happened beautifully, because our story of how we met was I was interviewed on one of the guys he works for with another podcast, and I just immediately I was like, man, he's doing something right, and we gelled, and we have been working together ever since. And slowly over time, after episode after episode, he's starting to kind of come out of his little shell. So he's popping in there every once in a while. But yeah.
Good. I like that. That's good. Good cameo role for you, Josh.
Yeah.
Gordon. Love it.
My pleasure.
All right.
Good man.
Well,
great.
Can you let people know the best ways to, I mean, obviously we're going to list a lot of things in the description in the description, but can you let people know the best ways to follow you and to follow the company and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, so the best way is through our website, Kineon.io. There's the logo, Kineon, that's the name, Kineon.io. Gordon's got it on the screen there. Thank you, Gordon. And then also on Instagram is, I think it's Kineon Labs or Kineon_Labs is the best place to follow us. And we'll start tracking you everywhere. Yeah, thanks, Gordon. That's it. Brilliant. There it is. Kineon_Labs. And please reach out to us. You know, we want to hear from people. Our support team is really friendly. They love to connect with people. We'd love to hear about any pain or challenges that you're experiencing and see if we can help you with our current products or our products down the road. And if you're interested in being beta tester or anything like that with our future products, we're open to that as well. I think that's the best way.
And for our American crowd, he doesn't mean like to be beaten. He means beta tester. So just in case you're wondering what he's talking about there, but I'll leave you with it. Mate, it's been a really good time chatting with you. I learned more about you today than I thought I would. So I'm happy to hear that. Thanks for your time. And I'm wishing you the best. And hopefully we can see each other again very soon in the UK.
Yeah, please let me know when you're down. You know, drop me a message and we'll come. I'll get myself down there and we'll get have some lunch.
Okay.
That'd be great.
And to the listeners and viewers, thanks for your time. As always, peace.
Simply walk the talk.
Walk the talk, talking facts. Move like me, but I move a little fast. Make my move, here to last. Fasten these seatbelts, I'm coming past. Take care of me, longevity. Hack my biology, better believe. Walking the talk, soul, mind, and body connected. Better come give us a listen.